Hey, what's up people? In today's video, which is not a regular video, it's more of a Q&A kind of video, I want to talk about lightweight knives, flexing issues, the Spyderco Stretch and the Spyderco Native comparison. Because I got a comment on one of my videos lately, and I thought it would be easier to answer that via video and not in the comment section, because it's easier to show things like that. Other than describe it. So Salvo EDC asks, how do I compare the Spyderco Stretch 2 to the Native Chief Lightweight, and which one I would recommend, and if any one of those has flexing issues. Now the flexing issues, that's actually a great question. Let's start with that. People have been talking about flexing issues with these lightweight knives for quite a while now in the community. There are lightweight knives from Spyderco, most of them, that have steel liners, so the flexing is not really a thing with the steel liners. It's not really a thing with most Spydercos, I think. Here's the Spyderco Manix 2 lightweight, for instance, and this one has absolutely no liners. You can see they even very aggressively cut out the inside, so they did a lot of weight reduction even on the FRN, and I don't think it has a little bit of give to it, but it's not a lot. You really have to try to flex this knife in order to, you know, actually flex it. The Benchmade bug out, for instance, is one of the most well-known lightweight knives that actually has a lot of flex. But the whole story here is, again, this one has no liners. It only has like partial liners in the pivot section, so it kind of makes sense because you need the strength here and not in the rest of the handle. I even have a titanium backspacer that reduces the flexing also a little bit because it makes this portion more rigid. But yeah, still has a lot of flex to it. But if you think about it, if you hold this knife, if you actually hold it, right, look where my fingertips go. They go on this corner. So if I really bear down, I'm really squeezing this knife right now, and I don't feel a lot of flex, to be honest, because I'm not doing this, I'm doing this, right? So the way you hold it makes all the difference here. So the flexing is only a thing when you try to flex it. There's very little flex when I'm actually using this knife. There is a little bit of it. I'm not gonna say there is no flex at all, but it's not really that much of an issue. So, and also the bug out, for instance, has a thin blade. It's thin behind the edge. It's kind of a smaller knife also. It's not gonna be used for any hard use anyway. So you can pry with it, you can lift things with it. It's not a knife that you will abuse anyways because of its geometry. So it doesn't need to be that strong, really. I remember there was a time where people, even on like G10 frames, they put liners underneath it. So I remember the really old Recons, for instance, underneath the G10 they had steel, or was it aluminum? I don't even remember, but they had liners underneath it. And then they realized, hey, G10 is a really rigid material, you don't actually need liners, and all the strength is in the locking system anyways and not in the frame. So they got rid of the liners, which I'm glad they were, because it reduced the weight quite a bit. The FRN also got better. If you look at really old FRN knives, they always have steel liners, no cutouts on the inside even, so no weight reduction, because they were afraid that these FRN scales would break easier, and they were also a lot thinner. They do the FRNs a lot thicker these days, so there is more material in general, because this is wrapped around the liners. Back in the days they used to wrap it around the liners and not put scales, like thick pieces of FRN. So, and these are more thick and more durable pieces of FRN. And I never had an issue with a Spyderco FRN model, or even a Benchmade. My Benchmade bug out had never had an issue with the FRN. So yeah, I think the flexing, it's not that bad in real life, because you don't do this when you hold it, you actually hold a knife like this. So yeah, the Stretch 2, the normal size has the liners, and then the Stretch 2 XL doesn't have the liners. So does the Native Chief does not have liners. You can maybe see that on camera. There's also no liner on the inside, and it's also a little bit of, there's a little bit of reducing via some milling going on the diaphragm. So they even shave a lot of weight off the diaphragm, and there is a little bit of flex to it again if I try to flex it, but if I'm actually holding it, like my fingertips rest up here and the back lock kind of prevents that knife from flexing up here. So there is no flex in using this, especially on a back lock knife. I would say the bug out is more known for flexing, but my Spydercos really, they really don't have that even without the liner. So maybe that helps. Now you also asked me about the comparison between the Native Chief lightweight and the Stretch 2. It would be a better comparison if I had the Stretch 2 XL here, because that would be the same size and also again no liners. But yeah, I can only compare the smaller size now, so because I don't have the XL version. This is a bigger knife. This has a 4-inch blade, which is 10 centimeters, and this is a 3.5-inch blade, which is like 9 centimeters. But you can actually see that the cutting edge difference is not so dramatic, even though the Native Chief is a much bigger knife. So cutting edge to cutting edge, because of the belly from the Stretch, as you can see, it has a lot of curvature in that cutting edge. It has more cutting edge per blade length, I would say. So the Stretch does that a little bit better. So if we would compare the XL Stretch to the Native Chief, the XL Stretch would have a lot more cutting edge than the Native Chief. And like I said, the smaller one also has more cutting edge per centimeter of, or per inch blade length. So this is kind of like if you think about it, going from heel to tip, the quickest way from going from here to here would be like a straight line. And there is a slight bit of curvature to that edge, but there is not a lot. So it's a very quick knife. The cutting edge goes very quick from heel to tip. And on this knife, it takes more time. So it goes to here, and then it has a curvature, and then it goes up again. So this cutting edge is just lengthened. And therefore, like if you cut like this, you can feel that it has more cutting power, because yeah, there's just this belly section, and that helps you doing the cutting actually. The Native Chief is like a traditional Italian patata design. I'm not sure if you have ever seen a patata knife. It's a knife like this. So this is an actual traditional Italian knife, and it has basically the same kind of shape to it, right? So the same kind of cutting edge, even the same blade length, about the same blade length, with a very fine and pointy, precise tip. And it tapers. So tapering meaning it's thicker here and it thins down towards the tip, making this tip very thin, very precise, but also kind of flimsier in a way. So it's not as durable of a tip. None of these tips are actually durable because they are kind of on the thinner side, but actually let's do it like this. Shows you a little bit better. But you can see in the front section here, like this has a lot less material. The Native Chief has a lot less material here, and this is kind of a wider geometry. So this tip on the Native is a lot more fragile for that reason. But it's also more precise. It depends if you want to have like a precise fine tip, or if you want to have more of a belly knife and the tip it's also there, but it's not as precise. Another big difference in the blade here would be, I mean, the thickness is about the same. These have really almost about the same blade thickness, but the cutting geometry is a lot thinner on my Stretch 2. I'm not sure if the Stretch 2 XL is also that thin behind the edge, but the normal size is a lot thinner behind the edge than the Native Chief. So it would cut better, arguably, and it would not get as thick behind the edge if you resharpen it as quickly. So yeah, I think the Stretch is just a better cutting performer because of that additional belly and because of that thinner ground blade. But this is a nice shape too, I like it quite a bit. Another big difference here would be, like this has more of the style of a longer and slimmer kind of handle. Like an Endura, for instance, the Endura is built the same way, it's kind of longer and slimmer. and then this is a little bit shorter but wider in this section, so you don't have as much room from here to here, but you have more room here. So it depends what you like. Do you like the thinner, slimmer handles, or do you like the shorter, wider ones? So yeah, so this one again has more room here from here to here, but less room here. So I do like the slimmer handles. I don't know. I think they fit my hand better. It depends on your hand size. I have smaller hands and they fit my hand personally better. Now another big difference here would be the ramp. Spyderco has a ramp on some of their knives, on some they don't. And this ramp helps you pushing against the spine, and the spine transfers that energy on the tip, so you can actually get a lot of force down the tip. And as you can see, this knife automatically kind of puts me in a saber grip. So this would be a hammer grip, right? And this is a saber grip. A saber grip is like more, like you see it on a more tactical kind of knife. You come in at a different angle towards what you're cutting. You sort of come from up here to down here. And this knife, it automatically puts me in a saber grip. This is where it feels most comfortable. And the Native Chief doesn't have that ramp, and it has a more neutral handle, I would say. So this knife allows me to choose my grip a little bit better. That's one of the things I like about the Native Chief actually a little bit more. It allows me to maneuver around that blade and get different kinds of angles on there. So if I'm actually working on something, that's really great, because I can completely put my fingers out of the cutting path, like sort of like on a kitchen knife. I can go up to here, I can go up to here. I can cut from here. It's very neutral in a way of the grips that I can hold it in. So I do like that quite a bit. The Stretch 2 is a little bit more secure, I would say. It puts you in a grip securely, but you can't change it around as easily. I do like the blade just from cutting performance better on the Stretch though. Yeah, but like I said, I do prefer the maneuverability. So if you move your hand a lot while cutting, then the Native Chief might be a better option for you. And if you want to be a little bit more secure on that grip, then the Stretch is a little bit better. Oh yeah, one more thing, the weight. Now, the Native Chief is all about size for weight. So it is a long blade, it's a much bigger knife, but it has less weight. This only has 86 grams, which is 2.9 ounces. That's crazy. There are not a lot of knives that weigh as little for that amount of weight. I don't even know if there is any folding knife that weighs as little as this one. This is a king in terms of the lightweights. In terms of size per weight, that's quite crazy. 86 grams, that's insane. And this is also not a heavy knife. 105 grams, which is 3.6 ounces, very lightweight also, but this is just way lighter and way longer for that weight. So I think if you need if you want to have a long cutting edge, for instance, this would be a kind of knife that if you needed like a folding kitchen knife, you can bring this because it doesn't weigh a lot and you have a long blade. That's great. Or if you want to have a little bit more reach, like reach is also sometimes you need more reach. And if you want to get the tip into tighter spaces, that's also sounds crazy, but yeah, if you want to get the tip into spaces and work there, it's a little bit easier because there's not as much material here. And this one is like more of a work knife where you are very securely on the grip, you have a nice thinly laser geometry, and you have a little bit more belly here and a little bit less of a precise tip. But you can also, you can just bear down on this knife and go to work. So yeah, both of these are good knives. Like I said, I prefer the thinness behind the edge on the Stretch. I really like that laser geometry, but I prefer the neutrality, is that even a word? I prefer the neutral grip of the Native Chief. It allows me to maneuver a little bit more on the handle. So yeah, that's kind of my opinion on both of these knives. I hope that helps you. I wish I had the Stretch 2 XL. I get asked about that a lot lately in the comments. And I really do want to have a Stretch XL in my collection at some point, but you know how it is. I can't have every knife all the time. Sometimes you just gotta wait and find a good price. And yeah, but yeah, maybe that helps you in terms of your buying decision. Maybe you'll look at the knives you already have and what kind of handles and what kind of blades you already appreciate in your knives, and then that helps you quite a bit choosing your future knives that you are going to buy. Maybe you have already what the Stretch has to offer and want something completely different, or maybe it's the opposite and you always want to have the same kind of knife over and over again. Yeah, I mix it up here and there. I have different kinds of knives for different purposes, and generally speaking that helps quite a bit to have different options. But yeah, in the end I have kind of a topic, a kind of a style of knife that I always go for. And yeah, it helps you quite a bit to know what you like in a knife, so you know if you are going to like a different knife in the future. So yeah, hopefully that helps. Like I said, it's a little bit easier to answer your comment in video form. And yeah, thank you guys for watching, and maybe we see each other in another video. Goodbye, people.